Hey guys.
Hello, baby boys. That's actually really cute.
Yeah, look at this thing.
What is that, a light or something? Does it light
Yeah,
up
there's no
or
batteries in it right now, but you like squeeze it and it
that's
like,
so sick. Jesus Christ.
welcome to the
That
podcast.
ugh, this is the times when I wish I lived in the US. I would come over there and fucking squish that shit.
Yup.
Welcome to One-on-One Ratio Pod. Thank you guys. If you guys are coming here from the graduate episode, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
got like a bunch of views on that one,
We're
which is very
almost at
sick.
like 1,000 views, which is
Yeah.
crazy, guys. We went into this like podcast like not doing this like for views like at all, not doing it for like subscribers. Like we just did it for us, like just to talk.
Yeah. I mean, it's still like that. It's
It's
just cool.
yeah. And now like we have our videos, 1,000. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
well, I'm just happy in general because like not about the views, just that we got like two more subscribers. Like that's just little like that, but that's so like welcome guys if
Yeah,
you're watching.
welcome.
Um
If you're let me do the regular, or no, not the regular, no, what everyone does. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're coming back, welcome back. Thank you for being here again. We appreciate you so much.
I'm Yoav akiva.
And I'm Melina Nazari.
Welcome to One-on-One Ratio Pod, and tonight we're talking about
The double life of Veronique.
yes. I'm so unbelievably excited to talk about this movie. And for Meli's opinion. Um, I'm like just from her face right now, I'll just put in my guess right now. I'll put in my bet for her rating. Okay. It's gonna be either a 3.5 or a 4.
Yeah, I'm waiting to
That's
see.
that's my that's what I think.
Well, you'll find
We'll
out soon.
see. But before we get to that, let's do some movie news. What do you say?
Let's do it. Yoav, kick it off.
I'll take it off. I'll take it off.
Yep.
Um, so there's like a bunch of Dune Part 2 talk, which I love seeing Dune Part 2 talk because we're all so excited for that movie. The length of the film, the runtime has been released and it's gonna be 2 hours and 45 minutes long. What do you think of that?
Not bad. I've watched longer
Sizable.
movies.
Yeah. Chris Nolan actually recently, I guess the movie was screened to him, and
Mm-hmm.
he said that it was Villeneuve's The Empire Strikes Back. Strikes Back.
Ooh.
Which is
Okay.
like, what does that mean? Because that's like one of the like considered one of the greatest like event movies ever. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
It's gonna
so
be big.
interested and I hope it gets people to go to theaters. And there's just so much like buzz around it. I mean, all the shit with the popcorn bucket and all those jokes. Um, the
Yeah, that
SNL made a
popcorn bucket.
skit.
Mm-hmm. A
I made a
sket? They made a
skit.
sket?
They made a skit with an
Yeah.
eye. I don't know. You watched it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes, I did.
It was pretty funny, but SNL has a way of like when they talk about something,
It's
I start to
ruined.
like, yeah, I care about it less because
Yeah.
they're not funny anymore. They used to make it funnier,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not funny anymore. And like, I guess the bit in that one is that people wanted to
Have
have sex
sex
with the
with it.
Dune Part 2 bucket. And I'm just wondering like how much of that, like how much did they pay SNL? But also like how like if you get paid by Dune Part 2 to like hype up their movie, why would you make a skit that's like there's one joke?
Yeah. It's
Um,
it's flat at this point. It was funny in the
yeah,
beginning, and then they just like overused it, overplayed, whatever.
yeah. But it is funny. It's still very funny. Bucket choice and iconic, really. This whole movie is gonna be an event, I think.
Yeah.
I'll be going to that first week it comes here.
So our next piece of news, Elle Fanning and Nicole Kidman to star in Apple TV series Margot Got Money Troubles, produced by A24. The
Hmm.
premise follows the daughter of a former pro wrestler who, after having an affair with her college English professor, gets pregnant and turns to OnlyFans to make ends meet.
Huh. Well, I
I
don't
don't know how I feel about the premise.
sounds interesting. I feel like A24 is the company to handle that premise.
Yeah, I guess so. That's yeah.
But all of the movies so far that have had OnlyFans as like canon in the world, haven't really, or like that tried to deal with cam girling
It's
and
not.
working at like sex work and all that, have not done it very well.
No.
Specifically for online sex work, have not done it very well. Have just been unrealistic and usually depicted, obviously depicting the bad sides. There hasn't been something that's like the best movie that had sex work as a topic of recent years is Poor Things, and that's not
Hmm.
even majorly about sex work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But no movie I've seen so far has handled the whole OnlyFans phenomenon at all.
I agree.
Well,
We'll see. I mean, if Euphoria is an indicator of how A24 is gonna handle that,
yeah.
don't know how I
Um,
feel.
Hitman, the new Richard Linklater film, the trailer came out and it looks bussin'.
It does.
I'm
It
excited.
does.
I'm really excited. I don't know if he'll be a big Oscar player, especially because it's coming out, I think, earlier in the year, March, I believe, or am
Hmm.
I under? I don't know.
I
I don't know
think.
if it's gonna be a big Oscar contender. Have the Oscars recognized Richard Linklater's work?
Yes, Boyhood.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure Boyhood got
why that
like
movie
Best
out of
Picture
all?
nom or something.
I think it might have won.
No way.
Am I
Let me
confused?
fact check this.
It's 2014, right?
No, it did not win. Patricia
What one?
Arquette won Best Supporting Actress. It won a
Oh,
BAFTA for Best Film. It won Golden Globe for Best Film, but it did not win the Oscar.
what one?
Let's see.
Okay, well, I had some faint. Well, I guess because it won so many
Birdman won.
awards. Oh, obviously,
Yeah.
the better movie one.
Yeah.
You can always count on the Academy of making good choices once in a while. I wouldn't
Once
nominate
in a
that movie
while.
for anything, really. Um,
Yeah. No. If you
we'll
want
see
to
what
see our
happens.
opinions on it, go watch it. It's a funny episode.
Um, so yeah, Hitman seems like a really fun movie, and the buzz that it came out with, I believe it was from Venice Film Festival, was
Hmm.
was like really compelling. So I'm like pumped for that.
Yeah. Um, Next up we have Tim Burton to direct a reimagining of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, with
Hmm.
Gillian Flynn writing the screenplay. If you don't know, Gillian Flynn is the author of Gone Girl and Sharp Objects. Um,
Mhm.
and it's a very interesting collaboration between two people that you
Yeah.
wouldn't expect to necessarily work together, because Tim Burton more that gothic side, Gillian Flynn.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just a weird combo, but I think it's gonna be interesting. So I'm
Um,
I'm
I I'm a proclaimed um Gillian Flynn lover because
yes.
Gone Girl is one of my favorite movies. I mean books of all
Mhm.
time. Um, this might be interesting. Even though Attack of the 50-Foot Woman just seems like macrophilia to me, but like that's just me.
Yeah. No, it
Like
definitely
some kind of
is.
some kind
But
of fetish thing, but I guess
we'll see how they handle it.
it's just funny that that movie was made in the first place because it was like someone's kinky dream, just like high budget.
Yeah, exactly.
um that's we'll see what, because I know she is, like, from what I understand, she is sexualized, at least on the poster
Hmm. I have the
of the
poster.
movie. She is like a sexualized monster stepping on people.
Yep.
So like
Here.
um so we'll see how they handle that. I
Wait.
hope they take a some kind of feminist approach to it. Yeah.
We'll see.
That's a little kooky. The Coen brothers are favorite, even though Coen brothers released Drive Away Dolls will release soon, has gotten pretty bad reviews so far, which sucks. But
Oof.
the Coen brothers are reuniting and make or one. I think it was one of the I think it was Joel Coen's movie who made
Mm-hmm.
whatever. The Coen brothers are reuniting now,
Yep.
and making a horror film together. During a
Yay!
masterclass in Norway, Ethan said that he and his brother have written a script and plan to direct it soon. It's a pure horror film and it gets very bloody. If you like Blood Simple, I think you will enjoy it. That's what um
We
Ethan
we
Cohen
sorry.
said.
We lost the Safdie brothers, but we're gaining the Coens back.
Yeah, we're getting them back just like we'll eventually get the Safdie brothers back. Which
Yeah.
by the way, did you ever finish The Curse?
I finished it last night.
Okay. So we'll talk about it.
Hmm.
Okay, next
Oh
next.
God. Guys, Leonardo DiCaprio, Paul Thomas Anderson. We have the first look. First looks. Look at that. Look at
Yes.
that. Paul
I don't
Thomas
know what it
Anderson.
is.
He
I
is
don't know
so
what it is, but
sexy.
something made me so happy. Paul Thomas, right?
Yes, look at him, a little silver
Yeah.
fox baddie.
Yeah. He is so sick. He's, generally considered the best, right? Like the best, one of the best directors that are living and working today. Um, Often compared to like Kubrick, kind of
That's crazy.
certified bangers slash
Yeah.
classics. Every movie he's released, I believe, will be a classic in the future. Licorice Pizza, I feel like if it was made like a while ago or in the 70s, I think it would be on Criterion.
Hmm.
That's my theory. Cause it was just misunderstood. I feel like Licorice Pizza was great. Um, but Punch Drunk Love, all those.
Yeah.
There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, those are classics.
Hell
Those are
yeah.
like classics, modern classics.
Hmm.
And just something about what do you think of Leo DiCaprio's costume?
I something about it, I'm liking it. I feel like we
Yeah,
don't
there's
see a lot of bum DiCaprio. And I'm
yeah,
happy that we're seeing him looking a little bummy. So, thumbs
yeah.
up.
I do like that. I wonder how he'd fit in a PTA film.
We'll see. This is his first, so he'll make his PTA debut.
Yeah. So there's been some crazy talk over Argyle, which
Oh,
released this
Jesus
week.
Christ.
I just watched a video from a YouTuber called D'Angelo Wallace. I don't know if you know him.
That name
But
is very
like
familiar.
he's like a not a commentary YouTuber. How do you say like a I guess commentary YouTuber, but he mostly touches on like um online discourse and stuff.
Right?
And Argyle is like the most awful movie apparently, and it's based on a book, and it was filmed before the book was published, and apparently there's two more movies coming, but the books haven't
What?
been written yet, but technically it's based on a book, and it's written, and the books and only the first book in the series have came out, but they're already starting to put like production on the second movie, which is
Oh,
because
Jesus.
apparently this first movie is based off the third book in the series, according to Matthew Vaughn on a podcast. Um, but the third book hasn't been released or seemingly hasn't even been written yet. So it's like this weird like deal. And then there's the whole thing with the writer, Ellie Conway, who
Okay.
is some kind of ghostwriter, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because but in this Argyle movie, she is meta to the world. She is a writer that wrote a book named Argyle, and it's like a thing. But that's weird because the book that the movie is based on, and the movie includes the Ellie Conway in the movie. The the book that the movie is based on is written by the person that is meta to the story, and that is seemingly doesn't exist. And so there's this whole theory with
Yo,
Taylor Swift,
what the fuck
um,
is going on right now? Taylor's
how Ta- how
what?
Taylor Swift is actually Ellie Conway because she has made there's been connections have been made. I reckon it's such an insane like thing going on right now between like Swifties and like critics hating on the movie and everything. Um and John Cena and Sam Rockwell and Henry Cavill and Dula Peep are like the lead roles and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, I know that.
It's and Ariana DeBose as well. It's like a stacked cast, like Bryan Cranston and shit,
Yeah, what
and
the
Samuel
fuck?
L. Catherine O'Hara, and it's like the most awful movie in the last few years. But it's still getting all this discourse and this free publicity over Taylor Swift lovers and shit. Check it out. It's just like such an insane drama. Um,
This reminds me of something else, but
what?
I'm not gonna say because I'm gonna keep my peace.
Say it.
All I'm gonna say is that this reminds me of another thing, another book, some might say, that people theorize Taylor Swift wrote. But I don't like that theory. Anyways, moving
The
on.
book. Mhm.
Um, I don't know what the fuck Yoav was just saying. There was so much happening. I did not even know Taylor Swift was involved in that. Um, Now on to some more solemn, sad news. Carl Weathers has passed away at the age of 76. Um,
Yeah,
he was in like all the Rocky movies and
right.
um he very like
Predator, I believe.
yeah, yep. Very
Yeah.
I would say influential person.
Mhm.
Um and so yeah, 76. Rest in
Yeah.
peace, King.
Rest in peace. That's a good age,
Hmm.
and I like his name, Carl Weathers.
Me too.
You know what
I
I
like
mean?
his name as well.
Check out his filmography. I definitely recommend
Yep.
Predator for anyone interested, and obviously Rocky movies. Seems like he
Yeah.
was also in Happy Gilmore, which is
Hmm.
a bad movie, but might be enjoyable to
Very bad movie.
some. So yeah, Carl Weathers.
Hmm.
Check out his filmography. Um, what else? Did you have another thing? Because
I
I'm out.
Oh, I do.
What?
Guys, when I saw this, my blood started actually fucking boiling. Chris Rock, the man who, got up on stage at the Oscars, or sorry, no, that's Will Smith. Chris Rock, the one who got slapped at the Oscars, is set to direct another round remake.
What?
Guys, I'm not even making this shit up. Like, this movie,
That is so awful.
yeah. And what makes it worse is I was like reading about it and like I was doing all my research. Apparently, okay, okay, okay.
Fuck
Apparently,
Hollywood. Like literally fuck Hollywood.
wait, the director was
I
what's his
hate
name?
Hollywood.
Thomas Wittenberg.
Thomas Winter.
Yeah,
Yeah, director of Festin.
yeah. Okay. He like apparently like he made this movie and he wrote it in mind to have his daughter like star in it. And then his like literally like 3 days before production started of the movie or like 3 days into production or
Which film?
something,
Another
another
round?
round. His
Mhm.
daughter got into a car accident and fucking died. Okay.
Wait, but the main character in another round is it? Sorry, what?
No, no,
She
no.
died?
Hold on. Apparently, another round was supposed to be like I get he probably changed this. I could be wrong. It was supposed to star his
Mhm.
daughter.
Well, the main character is a man.
No, I know. I
So
know. I know the main character's a man.
okay, so I guess okay.
But what I'm saying is that apparently he was supposed to star his daughter. His daughter died. So then he changed it up and he made the movie, I guess, like in honor of her, as opposed to
Oh,
starring her. And there's a lot of like lore behind that, I guess. I would recommend reading up on it. Um,
you're yet to watch another round, right?
haven't seen it yet.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Almost
So
close. I
so I've
remember I gave
heard.
it a 4.5, but
Mm,
like it's just so good in my mind right now that it's like a masterpiece.
yeah. Well, Chris Rock, what the fuck? Don't know how I feel about that. You can't do that. I'm
Awful.
sorry. Like you can't do that. Like this is what happens when you have like these dumb people who don't watch any international movies and don't watch movies that are non-English. And finally, he watches a movie that's non-English from a different country and he's like, "Wow, now I need to do this. Now I need to."
I mean, I'm not even hating on Chris Rock for choosing to do this, even though I'm sure you're right. Um, because I don't know how much international films he watches. It's just that like we don't need this.
Mm-mm.
That's like the fact that they're remaking Moana, even though Moana came out in like 2016.
Just stupid, just bad, just
What are
dumb.
you doing? Cash grab bullshit, dude. And it's not a movie that you, because it's all about the Danish drinking
It,
culture.
exactly. That's the other thing I was reading about.
Dude,
The movie is about their drinking culture.
yeah.
America does not have those same rules per se
Mhm.
and the same
And I
culture
guess
around drinking.
mhm,
You cannot
it's not
compare
the
it
same
like,
thing at all.
ugh, okay, let's move on
I
because
mean,
if we don't, I'm gonna
yeah,
keep ranting about this.
yeah. Um, should we talk about what we watched this week?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I guess I watched a total sum of, let's check my diary. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 movies this week.
Oh my God.
How many did you? 8 movies this week.
Oh my
Sorry,
God.
not because the last one was in January. Wait, did I talk about The Gardener last time?
I don't remember.
10 movies this week. Boo!
Yoav,
Ten
okay.
movies. How many did you watch?
I watched 4 movies and I finished The Curse.
Okay, so two. Who should start?
Let's speed run this. Let's go. Speed run.
Okay,
No,
I'll go.
no,
The
we're not gonna go
Gardener.
in depth.
The Gardener is the last movie in the Mohsen Makhlouf poetic trilogy. Excellent movie. It's actually an Iranian director filming in Israel, which is not something you see ever. Obviously because of Iran and Israel's relations. And this guy left Iran, and there's Islamic Republic kind of kicked him out. He's not allowed to come back, obviously, because he's visited Israel and done all this controversial stuff.
Okay.
But he filmed this in Jerusalem, and he examined the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i gardens, which are in Haifa here, with his son. And most of the movies in Farsi and a little bit in Arabic, I believe. Um, really, really interesting documentary. Green Book. I rewatched Green Book for class. Bad movie. Bad movie.
Oh, oh, that's all
Yeah,
that needs to be
everything's already been
said.
said, really. Then showed my sister 12 Angry Men. Perfect movie. Need a little cleanser from that. Watch God's Neighbors, which is think Do the Right Thing, just about religious like religious differences, except for instead of racial differences.
Okay,
Um, would probably recommend it. Then I watched Robert Altman's The Long Goodbye. This movie
okay,
is like one of those movies I'm just gonna make my personality for a while because Robert Altman's is like a big thing in film, and I haven't got into any of his movies, and this is like his most famous movie. And there's a scene with the cat in the beginning, and it's a thriller, and it's great, and I really, really recommend it for you. Then I watched a Louis de Funès movie called The Tattoo from 1968, French comedy. Love these. Then I rewatched Thief, another masterpiece, 10 out of 10. And then in film class, we had a director come and we screened his movie and we had a Q&A, and he sat right next to me and we watched his movie called Summer Nights, which was a really, really, really emotional documentary that he made about his first grader son. And then I finished the week with Double Life.
nice. All right.
Drop the mic. Oh, wait, I actually have a mic.
Nice. I started my week. I watched House of Gucci with my friends. No, no comment. Just no comment. Just bad. Just bad. Awful. Next, my friends and I, the next following night, watched this really cheesy movie on Netflix called Circle. Um,
Oh, is that
it's
where they have to like kill? Did they like
yeah,
die slowly or something?
yeah. so that was like my rewatch. I had watched it before. It was fun watching with friends and seeing them hypothesize who's gonna get killed and make fun of the characters because they're all so incredibly ridiculous.
Sure.
Cheesy movie, but fun with friends, whatever. Then I rewatched Silence of the Lambs for my film club that I'm running. Love that movie. So great, so
Nice.
fun. The analysis
Nice.
was pretty fun. I'm very glad a lot of people watched it.
Mhm.
I forgot how wonderful the pacing of that movie was. Awesome. Then I watched Anatomy of a Fall. Wow,
I
guys.
need to get to that, dude. I need to get to
Anatomy
that.
of a Fall is so good. The movie, most of the movie is just them like talking, but like it's so
Mhm.
interesting. Like you're just like sitting there and you're like watching them talk and you're like, yeah, like this is interesting. Like I want to hear them
Whoa.
talk for hours. The French lawyer is everyone in this movie, not everyone in this movie. I take it back. Our two main characters,
Mhm.
Sandra and the lawyer,
Mhm.
are both so sexy. Um, yeah, love it, love it, love it. So good. Can't wait to see what how this plays out at the Oscars. Lastly, I finished Nathan Fielder's The Curse.
See, I just watched Carson Runquist's like rap of the week, and he's like of the month, and he was like he couldn't get over that ending, and apparently the ending's great.
The ending, I don't even know what to say. I you would know like you could watch I saw someone say this on Letterboxd and I totally agree. You could watch the 8 episodes before the finale and then watch the finale and it you just will never predict it ever in your entire life. There is not a single person who watched that show and was able to predict the ending because it was so out of left field, but like not in a bad way. And it's really interesting because a lot of people were also on Letterboxd comparing Nathan Fielder and being
To
like this
David
to
Lynch.
David Lynch and being like this man is literally a
Mhm.
modern day David Lynch and I see it. I can see it, especially with this
Which
ending.
is weird because he's still making movies, but
Yeah, no, obviously. But
right.
like the kind of surrealist aspects of
Mhm.
filmmaking that
I've seen a lot of comparisons to The Return.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes, that I have seen also as well. But yeah, crazy. I think people have to watch it for themselves to really understand it. But yeah, that's it. That's all I watched.
Yeah. Sick. Sh- Okay,
Ick.
shall we get to email Amelie?
To emo Amelie, let's do it.
Go.
Yeah. All right.
See you guys in the next segment. Welcome to our segment on The Double Life of
Wait, what the
Veronique,
fuck?
directed by
Wait, what?
Pretty funny.
Wait.
Welcome to our segment about The Double Life of Veronique, directed by. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this director's name, so I just call him Krzysztof Kieslowski. I think that's the closest it can be for me. Do you know how to pronounce his name?
No, I don't.
I'll take it off to stop bothering you.
No, it's not
Oh wait,
bothering me. It's so
one of them,
funny.
one of them, one of them just fucking died on stage. Just fucking died in the middle of the movie. Like,
I don't okay, there's so much to talk about.
okay, The Double Life of Veronique. I'll just say this. It's kind of what I expected, but also not what I expected at the same time.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of reviews on Letterboxd of this movie being like, I'm really confused. Um, but I will say, and like don't mean this in like a like I'm smarter than all those people at all. I'm just saying I had maybe it's just because I've like experience with fucking strange movies, but I feel that a I had a grasp throughout the entire movie, like 90% of it at least, of what was going on thematically, story wise as well.
I
So,
agree.
okay.
I was confused a little in the beginning, and then once I
Mhm.
like I figured it out,
Okay.
I wasn't necessarily like confused. I just think I'll air out my grievances once we get through
Okay.
it. But I was more disappointed is not the right word, but
Okay.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Um, I thought we could start since this is very like a obviously a dense personal kind of work. We could start with like the technicals, get all the stuff out of the
Mm-hmm.
way.
But yeah,
I'll
yeah,
say
yeah.
that I own this on DVD, um, from Criterion. And but when I was just putting on the DVD and it was like on the menu screen and the music started playing and I have the TV connected to like the stereo shit in the living room, was just sitting there for like a solid 2 minutes just like fucking like basking in this music. Before the movie even started, I was like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
that's amazing music.
The music,
What'd
oh
you
my
think of
God.
like the score and stuff and all that?
The best way to describe it, and I wrote it down. Where is it? Where is it? Here. I said like this music is haunting. Like it's
Yeah.
scary to listen to.
It's
Like
definitely scary.
I was like sitting in my bed and I was like, "Oh my God." Like I'm getting like
There's something
chills. Like it's
there's
dark.
something that makes it sound, here's how I would describe it. It kind of sounds like that wedding thing, dun dun dun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it kind of turns that into like a funeral march kind of sound,
Yeah,
like a
that's a great,
requiem.
yes. That's a great way
Um,
to put it.
and it's so haunting and very fitting, I
Yes,
would
very
say.
fitting. Not only just the score itself, but also like the
Mhm.
singing, the like
Yeah, yeah,
choir singing is so
yeah.
scary. Like
Mhm.
the deep voices and then like the soprano voices layered on top of
Yeah.
it is just like, yeah, it's like you're being welcomed into like the gates of hell. Like it is scary, it is dark, it is thrilling.
A
Like,
little, I would say. I mean, I definitely found beauty in it,
well,
in my
I didn't
like
say
the
it was
music.
ugly.
No, I'm saying I definitely found some kind of um almost like there were moments where I was like literally getting like chills from it,
Yeah.
the music at least, like in a kind of a good way. There were some moments that felt a little more comforting, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
than like haunting, music wise, especially when it's just the musical score and not one of those like operatic choir
Well,
things.
yeah.
So I said, yeah. And then, so you have the music, which is generally very commended, and then the cinematography, which I thought we
Oh,
just like get out of the
let's get
way,
that out
like
of the
straight up.
way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, oh my God,
I'm speechless.
guys. I know like he's known for having like really
Mhm.
beautiful, stunning visuals, and not only just that, but the colors. I know that because he did that
Yeah.
whole trilogy, but
Yeah.
the cinematography with the colors just go together so well. I was
Yeah.
having a fit.
Um, I'll say this. The color work here, I think, and this is understating it, I think is
Hmm.
one of the best color coding and working with production design color wise, but in general production design and color, one of the best I've ever seen done, ever.
I agree.
And as
I
well as the
agree.
cinematography, I just wrote down there's good cinematography, there's pretty cinematography that is generally what's commended nowadays, movies that look good but really have
Yeah.
nothing to say. And then there's cinematography that's genuinely brilliant.
And this
There's shit
is,
like nowadays, like Maestro and Saltburn,
yeah.
just like examples of this year, where it's like pretty cinematography that means barely
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
And then there's this, which is cinematography that is there to convey such intense emotion and
Yep.
points and perspectives, and like just the like I feel like you would just someone would just explain these shots to me and like the dynamics and what's in these shots, and I would get chills just from hearing their explanation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not just like, oh, this is pretty to the eyes, this is symmetrical or whatever, right? It's the way everything is framed and put together
Mm-hmm.
in such a sophisticated and brilliant way that makes the cinematography as commended as it is, because
Yeah.
it's the framing, not just the color and the beauty of it. It's the way, it's how each shot presents itself and the personality in each shot. And like this it's brilliant in the way, you call each thing a keyframe. If a shot starts with like a long shot and then like the camera is moving in, it's like a different keyframe every time.
Mm-hmm.
The way it switches between keyframes and like from a long shot to like a point of view shot to like something, I'm just thinking about
The bus
Veronica's death
scene.
scene.
Okay.
The bus scene, yeah. The bus scene is a good example. I was thinking Veronica's death scene, how it
Mm-hmm.
starts with like a point of view shot, but then when she dies, it starts like kind of like an angel of death,
Mm-hmm.
like her, like her soul rising up and like flying over these audience members,
Yeah.
and then you
Yep.
turn around and they're watching what's going on stage with the dead body, and you're like, I've just fucking ascended.
Yep.
Like that's what good cinematography is. Like extreme emotion. I at least got extreme emotional reactions out of this framing
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Yeah.
um what were you thinking visually?
Let me see what I
Like the
wrote.
bus scene, for example. What?
Well, like kind of like what you were saying about the way it
Mhm.
so seamlessly moves between different shots is really
Mhm.
what makes like the cinematography in the movie so special, because like a lot
Mhm.
of the time, like, movies, okay, a lot of movies obviously are seamless, like the transitions are pretty clean, but
Yeah.
this movie does it in such a way where it's like, it all has like meaning and purpose, like, like you were
Yeah.
just saying, a lot of movies now, like, they just want to like fit in like all these like shots just so they can do it and just say like, oh yeah, I have
Yeah.
that in my movie.
Yeah.
But this one is like, no, no, no. Like, I have it in my movie and it looks good and it's clean and it has a purpose to it. So like, fuck you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I just love the way like the bus scene, it was like moving back and forth between Veronica and Veronica, however the fuck you say in French. Um
Veronique and Veronica.
Veronique
That's
and
how.
Veronica.
Well,
Um
because technically Veronica is Polish and Veronique is French. So it'd be
okay.
Veronique for the French name, and then some kind of mix of like, I don't know how to say the Polish V, but there's like a weird sound
Well,
to
they
it,
say
or at least
Veronica
weird to us. Yeah, something like that. It's something special with
either
Polish
way.
language.
And then at
Yeah.
the very end, when it was so cool, like the way the camera
Mhm.
was, like when the bus was like looping around, and then it was like kind of going like back and forth between the two girls.
Yeah,
So good. So
brilliant.
good. And
Um,
like I said, on top of that, the color just my
yes.
favorite was like the way it was like just reflecting off of her skin was the
Mhm.
green, that green hue. When it was reflecting off of her skin, it was genuinely like
Yeah.
some of the most simple yet beautiful like shot, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, I've ever seen. Like it was so gorgeous because like her skin is like very like white and pale, and so the color like
Yeah.
reflecting off of it was just like, oh
And obviously, it's not just cinematography, it's also the lighting work with the colors. I
yes.
mean, you have moments in this movie where there's like different spaces and you can see rooms in the background and through windows, and it's like different colors. Like you got red, green, and yellow
Mm-hmm.
mostly. Obviously, those colors are also represented in frames like this, but sometimes you'd get different rooms inside a house looking different, and those like illuminating and expressing over other spaces in these like strange, like there's somehow like the houses have like a weird feel to them. I don't know how to, because of all the lighting, they feel like something a little supernatural. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, now that that's out of the way, I guess we'll get to content. We'll get to content, like what, like story and shit.
All
What
right.
what was your experience with this?
So I think the first half, I was like into it. And I
Mhm,
was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I'm digging this. I like where this
mhm,
is going. And then she dies.
mhm,
And after she dies, I had a hard time really connecting with the story because I did not know where it was gonna go, in a
okay.
sense. And then I'm watching it and I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
And
Are
then
we?
it
And
ends.
then it just ends. And
Yeah.
to me, I was left extremely unsatisfied with the movie
Okay.
ending and the story in general. I thought we were gonna get more of like more of a parallel between their lives, more of a connection between how the two women are connected, but I didn't necessarily really see that. Like there were some small things that I definitely saw and the way that they like went about life and like the connection between like the rope and the the string, like whatever. Um but other than that, I'm just like I'm like after watching the movie, I was not satisfied. Like I was like, wow, like I to me it was just like kind of like what even was that for?
Hmm.
You?
Okay.
You?
So I think we differ a little.
Yeah.
Um
I was I
this
knew that
happens
was gonna
sometimes.
happen.
Um I had a phenomenal experience with this start to finish. Um I think it's really something special. I think something really special is at play here. And I will say, obviously, it the ending is not um it comes out of left field, and it's not anything special like visually. It's kind of similar to other shots in the film, and she's just touching a tree, and I guess we'll get to the ending if we go through this chronologically. But I ended the movie very, very satisfied.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
very,
Okay.
very satisfied. And I
Okay.
was like beyond like my brain was going in so many directions at
Mhm.
once.
Okay.
And
Wow.
it it really hit hard for me.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay.
I I guess we'll get to more general thoughts later, but um I started with my first note about the story, or when the movie began.
Mhm.
I said I understood 90% of this movie because I don't really remember specifically what the real beginning was with these two girls, but I remember it putting me in this weird like mood of like there's like you saw like two different girls, right? Or was it the same girl?
No, definitely two different girls.
Okay. And like this story about the leaves and like some kind of tree, and then it's like Christmas Eve or something, and then it goes to credits, to title
Mhm.
credits. Um, and so that's the beginning, and I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
Um, and then you start following Veronica, and you barely see Veronique in the beginning. The only thing I believe you see is some kind of sex scene, I think in the
Mm.
beginning with Veronique.
No, I thought
Or
that was
or no, she
Veronica.
goes Veronica is the one with the motorcyclist boyfriend.
Yes. Okay, wait, hold on.
Okay.
Veronica is the Polish one.
Yeah.
Veronique
With the
is the French one.
motorcyclist.
With a
Yes.
yes, motorcyclist
Yeah.
boyfriend, and then Veronique is like she has the puppeteering guy.
Yeah, but
whatever.
Veronique also goes through a few sexual partners throughout the
Yes,
movie.
yes,
So Veronica, we see her singing at a choir, and then it starts raining, and then she begins to cry.
yes. That was a very beautiful
Um,
shot too. I was like, wow.
and like it's kind of like happy crying in a way, and she's like kind of like when I see people connecting this to Amelie, um, she's like kind of the connection I see,
Yeah, I
like
didn't really
her like
see a
kind of
connection
love for
between
life.
Amelie, but that's just
Yeah,
me.
I don't really get it. I think only people see green and they're like, ah.
Green French girl motorcycle.
Nah. Um, so she goes to her father or her aunt.
Yes, her aunt.
I, this movie's such a blur to me. She tells her, I have a strange feeling. I feel like I'm not alone, like I'm not alone in this world. I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
and that's like kind of her first lines around after she has an encounter with her motorcycle. In the
with
first
her.
scene of the movie,
Okay, yeah.
motorcycle boyfriend.
Motorcyclists.
Um, the first scene of the movie, the first shot of her as an adult, she's crying. And I think there's some kind of relationship here when it comes to tears between her and Veronique later in the movie. Um, Veronica. Guys, I am so
These
confused
these
now that I'm
names are gonna
talking about it. Like they
yeah.
all made sense in my head until I actually have to speak about it.
The names are tripping you up, I can tell.
Yeah, which obviously is intentional. Veronique, um, in the beginning before she starts crying more frequently, when all that puppeteer stuff goes on before that, I feel like
Right.
she struggles to cry. And she even has this habit of putting the
The
ring to her
ring.
eye.
Yes.
She's almost trying to agitate her eye, I would say, to even try to cry. um that was my like analysis. That's what I was taking out of it, even though obviously it was very ambiguous, some kind of, I mean, that's very purposeful symbolism.
Right.
I wonder. But like to me, she was trying to make herself cry. So there's this kind of relationship that's gonna be examined later. But you know what I thought this movie was gonna be was bit of Veronique, bit of Veronica, bit of
That's
Veronique, bit of Veronica.
that's what I thought.
That's not what it was. It
No.
was reflexive in that there were two parts um that were like textually connected.
Mm-hmm.
And one's in Poland and one's in France.
Yes.
Um and then she goes on the train and like you see the landscape warping, and that's even before she starts looking to the ball, and there's like a bit in the frame that's like blurring around, and I just got this strange feeling that persisted throughout the film from then, which was like the world around me was like warping, and like the
Right.
basic things of what I'm supposed to understand about this hazy world is like blurring in front of me.
Right.
Why are you laughing?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Keep going.
But that's like the feeling of this movie in
Mm-hmm.
general, is this warping, and and added to this warping, um
Sorry, sorry.
added to this warping, I would say, um some kind of, it's such a fucking like mind fuck, but there's a sense that everyone says about this movie is the ennui, and the ennui is like an interesting emotion that's not really covered a lot in film, and that's like boredom with your surroundings, but I kind of interpret it as like some kind of pretty boredom. Like when I think of um I use this word a lot, but like listlessness, I use it in my letterbox reviews a lot. It's like this lack of direction. When I think about it, it's like when I'm feeling ennui is is like if you're trapped in your room all day, but you have a really pretty view from your window and you're really bored,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also like kind of in like a different state of ennui. You know what I mean? Like your
Yes. Yes.
surroundings are there, but you're bored. And it's such a strange, listless feeling that's not really covered in film. And what's so special is that it's so hard for me to talk about this narratively
I can tell.
because it's not I'm usually good at it, but no.
No,
Um
this one's tricky. This one's not an easy one. So
this one's tricky.
that's why I was kind of laughing because it's just like funny, like trying to like it's like you're like trying to like tell it, but you're like
Yeah.
struggling. It's okay.
Um, the feeling is listless, and that's not an
Listless.
easy feeling to capture, and it's not an easy feeling to feel, but it's something I personally resonate with on such a personal level. Um, it's it's not a fun feeling, but it has its perks, and I think this movie captures it perfectly. And I think especially when she looks out of the window and the world is warping around her, there's like a kind of like ever changingness to all of it. Um, but it's also extremely still and
Mm-hmm.
unmoving at the same time. Um, so there's that. So she's on the train and she sees everything, and she's kind of similar to Veronique. She sees everything through like windows and glass. Um, and she Veronica looks through the glass of the train and the glass of the ball that she has,
Yeah. Another
right?
gorgeous shot.
Another gorgeous shot, but there's no play with mirrors when it comes to Veronica's perspective.
Right.
Um, so Veronica, I would say, has this feeling of she's like looking at her life as an outsider, which is like
Mm.
feeling besides yourself through more of like reflections of glass and through windows and stuff. Um and like the work with the glass in Veronique's segment of the movie is different than how Veronica's is.
Mm-hmm.
Where Veronica is probably a little more clear when it comes to her emotions and her feelings and her grasp on reality as she knows it. Um, and she's a little more gleeful and she's less emo than Veronique for sure. Um, so there's that. There's glass play or whatever, and um that's kind of up to the train scene. What were your first notes?
Oh, okay. Here's the thing. I approached this a little differently than you did. I did not like analyze it like that, like scene by scene. I kind of did what
Okay.
I normally do, like I just write like little points down, and then at the very end, I kind of like did an accumulation
Mhm.
thing where I kind of sit and I'm like, okay, cool, this is what I think. I think
Okay.
something that I think I noticed is that the difference between Veronica and Veronique, okay?
Mhm.
Um Veronica is like, cuz they're both okay. They're both aspiring choir singers. They both like to sing from what I can tell. However, it seems to me that Veronica is much more inclined and more willing to put herself out there and like
Yeah.
and work for her dream, whereas Veronique
Yeah.
is not as willing and she's a little more like reserved in that sense, and she's like trying to protect her peace, and she's like maybe a little scared that, I'm not going to make it as a choir
Mhm.
singer, so I have to be a little more, I have to
A music teacher and some shitty.
yeah, I have to hold myself back because she doesn't think that she's good enough. Whereas Veronica is like, no, like, I am good enough and I am gonna go and I'm gonna put myself out there and I'm gonna do the best
Yeah.
work that I can try and do. But then she dies. Um,
Right.
and I think that kind of goes to show like the difference between the two girls, where in a way they're tethered, but they're like it's like two sides to the same coin, where like Veronica like pushes herself to the brink of death over her passion, but then Veronique um ends up kind of becoming and feeling in a way like lost and useless in this world because she's
Yeah.
trying so hard to protect herself from because she's scared that she's not gonna
Mhm.
like end up where she wants to end up with her career.
And you see her in various spaces and through various windows, pressing her head and her hand sometimes against the window and watching the world around her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this feeling of she looks like an animal in a cage. At
Yeah.
least that's what I see from Marine Jacob's face, which by the way is um a perfect performance beyond any measure. Um, simply so nuanced, so demanding, and
Mhm.
so beautifully done. She's also a amazing looking woman. Like she is
Yes.
beautiful.
And I do want to
Um,
say her hair is gorgeous. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit, if only I could have hair like that. Like stunning,
I want hair
stunning.
like that too. Like legitimately, a beautiful human being, but beauty aside, this acting is something special. Something special.
10 out of 10.
And
Wait,
kind of
that
hard to describe her performance.
sorry.
What?
Sorry. That was like really creepy because the minute I did 10 out of 10, the 10-minute warning flashed.
Scary. Um, everything's connected.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you and the timer are the same person.
What? Can I tell? Am I a clock?
Um,
Maybe.
you know you're not a clock, you're a candlestick. Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
Um, so so geez Louise. So there's the bus scene, and Kieslowski's movies tend to be very political from what I understand.
right.
But this movie is kind of the diversion from that, from what I understand contextually in his works. And he physically kind of explains that in the bus scene because there's some sort of protest of
Mm-hmm.
Poland's whatever the Poland has been throughout all of the 90s was not like
Yeah.
since like from World War II, is not
Yeah.
a stable country and has never been.
Yes.
So there's a lot to handle that, but you see literally Veronica just like turning away from like all the politics and just like handling that and like walking away, like literally facing westwards just away from like everything. Um she does like this movie isn't concerned with that, which I think is something that has to do with Kieslowski's like broader work, but I really have to get it because this is my first Kieslowski movie, so I don't know
Right.
what, but she's seen herself. What a chilling and like strange and kind of devastating and like wonderful thing at the same time to happen to a person, which
Right.
obviously has never happened in our world. um but just Erin Jacobs' face and like her reaction as Veronica to Veronique is like insane because it's like exactly I could see the feelings on her face. Um and and Veronica sees Veronique, but Veronique takes a picture of Veronica unintentionally, but doesn't see that it's actually Veronica in her trip to Poland, and then she just freaking flies back to France, and we follow Veronica in her journey with her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and her voice is wonderful. Obviously, they did some kind of dubbing to her singing,
A
which
little. Yeah, just a little.
which I don't mind personally. I don't know if did that bother you?
It didn't it didn't bother me. It was just very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Because,
again, like
yeah.
right, but there's also like a split between self and voice and like expression and soul
Mm-hmm.
versus the physical body and the physical limitations of us as human beings.
Right.
Um So I guess there's some sort of thematic excuse for that. I would say. I just wasn't bothered from it because I was so into whatever the fuck was going on. But her voice, or at least the singer that's voice was dubbed over Veronica's, was very pretty.
Very pretty, very beautiful voice.
Yeah. So she goes to this audition, and well, the only thing special about the audition scene, except for the fact that it's like chilling and whatever, is that there's a woman in the audition scene that like seems disappointed once
Mm-hmm.
Veronica is accepted into the group. And then we
Yes.
see that woman later within Veronique's storyline. But I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah.
What was your next note?
Oh, my next note was, well, I noticed about Veronica that she like would constantly like kind of like harm herself a little bit. Like I don't you picked up on that,
Mm.
right? Like
In what way?
like when she was like singing, like she was like cutting off the circulation of her finger, and
Mhm.
then like I don't know if like in her apartment, like later when like she like was trying to talk to that, or not her apartment, like she was with her aunt. She like burned herself on the iron. Did you notice that?
No,
No? Okay.
not at
She
all.
was like she was like in her like, underwear and bra, and she was like just like walking around her room and like talking to the grandma outside. But like before that, like she like purposefully, like it looked very purposeful. Like she like
Mhm.
burned her finger on the
She
iron.
also bit her. I remember that she bit her nails.
Yeah.
Another thing.
So I think that's also like a theme within her life. Like she tends to kind of harm herself a little bit to probably, I'm assuming, like push herself.
Yes, she also has some kind of heart condition. Both of them do, I
Yes,
believe.
right.
From what I interpreted. She has this fainting thing, and obviously at the end she dies from some kind of, I would interpret it as a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you also see Veronique later visiting a cardiologist clinic, but we don't see her
Yeah.
walking in. We just see her walking in, but we don't see what goes on there. And Veronique later has a chart with like heartbeats on it in her room. That was probably a report from some test. Um, so Veronique also has these like spells where she has to sit down and like she has to deal with all of that. So she has some kind of heart condition,
Yeah.
and some kind of anxiety thing, and I guess a tendency for self-harm, which I didn't even notice. Um, God. So she gets flashed, which is, I believe, a very interesting scene during one of her fainting spells by a passing man. What did you
She
think of
gets
that? Was it
flashed. Wait, wait, wait.
She sits on the bench and then the man goes up and you can see his penis.
Did I miss that?
Did did we watch the same film?
Why do I not remember this?
This episode is a
Guys,
mess.
guys, this episode is like
Melly.
this because this movie is very hard. This movie is very hard to.
Yes, yes.
Did I miss that? I wasn't on
So
my phone during the movie.
you weren't on your phone, but she sits down and she gets flashed. But I swear to God, she gets flashed. You know what might help me find it? Talk for a second. I'm gonna open the IMDb Parents Guide. I guess it will probably be there, right?
This is Veronica.
Yeah, Veronica sits on a bench and then she gets flashed. And I have a a whole ass like note about that
Oh,
and like what that
okay.
means.
Okay, I guess I'll just talk a little. Guys, you can clearly tell who enjoyed this movie and who did not. Sorry, guys.
A
But that
brief yet intense act of male public exhibitionism lasts about a second. Man in raincoat walks by and flashes Veronica sitting on a bench, exposing only his genitalia. He is otherwise fully dressed. According to Andy Bipierska. I didn't misinterpret that. I definitely
okay.
saw a penis.
Okay, please continue your Okay, okay. All right. Okay.
Do
Now
you
what?
remember that scene when she's on a bench?
Okay, she's on a bench. I do not remember her getting flashed. Why don't you
Well,
just
she is.
read me your description?
Well, basically, there's some kind of thing here, relating to men sexualizing mentally ill women.
Okay. Okay. All
A
right.
different interpretation I have, but I think the flashing scene is a best kind of example of that.
All right.
Um,
Yes.
Obviously we see objectification, a whole other thing, during the end of the movie with the whole puppeteer segment, and the
Yes.
whole
Right.
experimentalism approach to romance. We'll get to it. But the exhibitionist scene is a very good example. The man sees woman in a weak position, fainting, seems very like she's dealing with existential things, which Veronica is obviously dealing with existential things, and then he flashes her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my thing of that. Um, I Crazy to me you didn't notice that. Um,
I I think I think I was just checked out. That's
yeah, I guess
crazy.
so.
That is crazy that I
Um,
didn't notice that. What the fuck? Guys, I'm so sorry. That's very disappointing. That's disappointing on
so
my part.
so Veronica dies on stage.
Yeah.
And then we get a POV shot of her getting buried, which is a very interesting choice. Um, because it makes me feel like there is still she's still alive to some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the answer to that is that she lives on through Veronique, whose life we are about to explore. And then once she dies, we're already in Veronique's perspective, we see Veronique grieving, and she doesn't know what she's grieving over.
Yeah.
And it's very heavy. Her reaction is very visceral. To this death that's not a death to her because
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't know, she's not
Right.
aware. Um, and then we start understanding how they're intrinsically connected soul wise,
Mm-hmm.
which happens between a lot of the characters in this movie, specifically Veronica and Veronique, obviously, but also Veronique and the puppet Tier, which I guess we'll get to. But do you have anything
About the
immediately
puppeteer.
after
Oh, about the death?
Veronica's like death?
Let me see. I
This
was
movie
just
broke us, like
mm-hmm.
analysis wise.
Yeah. I was just shocked. Like I was not expecting her to die, you know? Like so whenever she just like fell, I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I was like, "Wait, maybe she's not dead. Maybe she just like passed out." And then no, it was a funeral right after. So, and we were in the perspective of the coffin. So I was like, "Yep, okay. She is clearly dead." Um, so I was just shocked. And then we were in France and I was like, okay, we are in France now. What the fuck is going
Yes.
on? Like what is
Yes.
happening?
Um,
Just crazy, guys. Just crazy, okay? Just fucking crazy.
so the crystal ball is an interesting symbol, because generally a glass ball is considered something mystical in which from which you view other people's lives and alternate realities and futures.
Yeah.
Um, in like, in spirituality and in magicianhood and all of that kind of on those all those kind of cultures, a
Yeah.
crystal ball is considered in that way. But Veronique watches herself through a crystal ball, remembers things through a ball as she gets at one point a vision of the landscapes that Veronica watches earlier in the movie. She's recalls a an image of a crystal ball looking at those landscapes, but it's
Yeah.
Veronique's memory.
Yeah.
She experiences things through a glass. And
Yeah. Which
it's
we you
almost
were
like
saying before.
just like how she watches it feels like she's besides herself watching herself like she's in a movie. um which is I guess a feeling that I can resonate. with, and I do resonate with, because it is a very strange one, feeling a stranger to yourself. Um
Yeah.
so yeah, I did feel that to some capacity. What else did you write?
Guys, we're botching this so bad. Okay. Okay. Look, honestly, I don't have a lot of notes from part two because I was checked out and I was like 45 minutes in and I
Okay.
feel like nothing has happened. I don't like this.
Uh, okay, I'm
Okay,
already talking too much, but
all
okay.
I'm gonna say is that the puppeteering was weird and it reminded me of being John Malkovich.
Which you also didn't like.
Which I not that I didn't like. I just again, I thought I would like it more, but I didn't. I was like, at the very end, I was like, is this supposed to be like the puppets are like controlling their lives or some shit like that? Is that like what this is?
No,
No, I know
not
it's
at
not.
all.
I know it's not.
Um,
But like, I was what the I was like trying to like I was trying to think of something to connect. My, guys,
here's what I'll say. At the risk of talking too much, okay?
you're not
I'm
talking
just
too
gonna go.
much.
I'm just gonna go. Um, her. Okay, Veronique is in her room. Her neighbor shines a mirror into her room. An annoyance that she somehow accepts and just watch and stares out blankly, like she's just unable to move and function. Um, which is kind of what connects to the puppeteering, in that a puppet is unable to control what they're experiencing
Uh-huh.
from the perspective of the puppet, that is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of this immovable still feeling of something is controlling you.
Mm-hmm.
She sent a random shoelace. Now she talks to her friend, who tells her about the book that was written by the guy that did the puppeteering, and in the
Mm-hmm.
book there's some sort of short story about a shoelace which she talks about. And then Veronique gets a shoelace in the mail, which also
Yes.
reminded me of the lace that Veronica plays with during that song when she wraps her finger around it.
Yes.
Um, but she automatically gets this connection to the puppeteer, and now again like a kind of psychological psychic like connection with another human being, which I guess according to this film's thesis, we are all somehow the life is some kind of interconnected web of like
Yes.
connections that we have. It kind of poses just like a web of interconnectedness that's going on in life, which
Right.
sounds so silly and spiritual, but and then she
I
sent us
just
a box of cigars, and she knows what the puppeteer scented before he sent them
yes,
because
the
she read
empty it
his
was
book, and I guess there's a different thing about that, the empty box of cigars. um yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
nothing. I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like there could have been so many better ways to go about this. Like I get it, it's like subjective or whatever, and like obviously like you liked it a lot more than I did, and maybe it's because I expected different things, and like to me, like the whole aspect of interconnected lives, like to me, like I view it a little differently than how the movie
Mhm.
portrays it. But like I don't know, like the second half, like obviously there's all this richness and depth and beauty to it, but like I I felt like kind of blind towards it because I just was feeling so what's even the point?
Okay, but I mean that hurts me to hear, because I'm very
I'm sorry.
excited about this movie. No, that's
I
fine.
can tell you're
That's totally fine.
excited and
And
I
I
want
get
you to
and I
talk
get
about it.
I get what you're saying, because a lot of people on Letterboxd are like either like this is like a masterpiece
Yeah.
of sorts, but I also have one friend that gave it half a star and was like, this is the most awfully written piece of shit I've ever seen.
Okay, I
Like the
wouldn't go
only
that far.
reason, well, no, they're saying like the only reason people call this a masterpiece is because of the visuals and
Oh,
the
okay.
sex, and people are attracted to that and think it's poetic or whatever, and there's nothing really special about this
Yeah.
movie's plot. And I just disagree with that in general, because it's just a way of storytelling, and a kind of way something that you have to go into, and I went into this with this expectation, and I don't know if you necessarily did. I mean, you tell me. But it kind of openness to a plot that is not that is not conventionally told at all. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they could read passages from the puppeteer's book, and then in the book you'll hear that there's a box of cigars, and then you'll know that's how Veronique knows. But no, there's some kind of empty space and psychological connection that's going on.
Right. Yes.
Um, and I get how hard that is to connect to, and I don't know what it is about this that worked so well to me now that we're talking about it,
Right.
to be real. Even the arguably the best movie critic of all time, Roger Ebert, was from what I understand, I haven't fully read his review, but speechless when it came to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um let me actually pull it up. I wonder what rating he gave it.
Okay.
Um
Probably like a 5.
but okay, he didn't um review rated, but here's a film about feeling. Like all feelings, it is one that can be described in words, although it can be evoked in art. It is the feeling that we are not alone because there is more than one of us. We are connected at a level far, far beneath thought. We have no understanding of what it is. It is simply a feeling that we have.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound like Roger Ebert. He's speechless, pretty much,
Right.
from what I understand. He usually opens with like some kind of broad, this movie is about la 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 la, and then he but this doesn't sound like Roger Ebert. But her and the puppeteer have this like back and forth, and he sends her a cassette tape full of banal noises that she has to somehow interpret to
Mm-hmm.
know where to go to find him. And then she goes to travel to Paris, and she somehow finds him there. Um, by the way,
Right.
with this cassette tape, she had no wire connected to her cassette. How did she do that? Was that Bluetooth? Because there wasn't Bluetooth back then, right?
Definitely not.
I guess in the
Definitely
world of the
not.
movie, or did I
It
just not see the wire,
no,
or what
it
was
might
going on?
have just it could have just been like mm, a mistake on production's part.
You think it
It
didn't
could
feel? It
be
definitely isn't. It could be.
because Bluetooth
I don't
did not
know.
exist in the early 90s.
Right, and I guess maybe in this world what he's telling her like is transmitted and it sounds so fucking awful, transmitted to her through thought and
Mm-hmm.
sound, and like sequences of sound entering her mind.
Sure.
I sound like an idiot, but who is sending her these things? Well, we know it's the puppet. Like I kind of pieced together there was a puppeteer, and I'm sure you did too.
Right.
um and while searching for the anonymous sender in Paris, Paris, sorry, that's how you say it in Hebrew. Veronique passes the woman who was in the room listen when Veronica was getting the main vocal line in the choir and getting the news about that, and the woman is disappointed in both scenes, and their lives somehow now is the first time they like physically interconnected. There's some kind of physical like connection between them, like a character that showed up in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a really weird moment. So she finds the puppeteer at the cafe. It seems he was using her as an experiment, another kind of, oh, I'm
Yeah.
attracted to this, like mentally or whatever. And there was no romance involved,
No.
which is kind of devastating to say the least. And then her scarf gets stuck in the car doors on her way out, and then there's this like little chase kind of thing, this little
Right.
back and forth. Um, by the way, the puppet scene when she watches her for him puppet for the first time, what were you thinking?
Well, I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah,
Like I specifically wrote down like I wrote that the puppeteering itself was gorgeous. Like
yeah,
and like the way it was shot too, like and the way it makes you feel like yeah, you're just like you're watching this like beautiful like puppeteering art installation, you know.
I will say, like I said, how the puppet has no control over their lives, and there's this kind of stillness to the perspective and the act of being a
Mm-hmm.
puppet. And the actual act, the puppeteering act, is about this woman who's I think remember like broke her legs or something and cannot
Mm-hmm.
walk or something like that. Or that's how Veronique describes it, and like a puppet that's character is immovable, and then at the end she ascends and becomes an angel, which is
Right.
something Veronique cannot do, because there are like boundaries to this semi supernatural world. Um, some kind of ascension is not possible for her. She is pretty stuck in her ennui, listless world. Just like her scarf gets stuck indoors, I guess, and how clumsy she is.
Right.
And you know, she's always like dropping shit. She's always like slipping on her heels. She drops like, which is just a idiosyncrasy for her. Um, the OG Spider-Man kiss I wrote, I guess that's referencing the puppeteer
She's
kissing her in the hotel.
yeah.
Um, so she they're in that hotel room and she sees the picture of Veronica that she
Mm-hmm.
took. And I personally got like full body chills. That was just me. Um,
Well, I didn't get chills, but I was like, okay, that's cool.
because because what I think that sums up our like
Yeah, it pretty much
um
does.
our like perspectives. I got chills because what profound um thing that has just occurred in this hotel room. A woman took a picture of herself incidentally on a
Mm-hmm.
trip, and now she sees herself and understands in a way her feelings all her life that she hasn't been alone are
It's
um
true.
is true, which is something we don't have. Us as normal humans have no ability of confirming. But
Right.
again, it's all about this feeling, like Roger Ebert said, of not being alone
Mm-hmm.
in life and in the directionless world we live in, this feeling of not being alone and our confidence in that, and Veronique, she doesn't get to become an angel, but at least that feeling is confirmed for her and she breaks down in tears, and then the man takes advantage of that and
Mm-hmm.
starts kissing her and
Yep.
essentially having sex with her, but she's not having sex back.
Yep.
um
Perv.
which
Perv. I was grossed out at
pervy
that scene. I was like,
behavior.
okay.
Gross. Yeah, gross. But another thing of like sexualizing the mentally ill women
Yep.
and the woman in the weak position.
Exactly.
Um, I think there is some kind of angle at that you can attack this with. Um, and again, I'll have to watch this movie, and I'd gladly watch this movie many more times to like
Mm-hmm.
analyze it from those different perspectives. I mean, he kind of takes advantage of that, and her feelings are confirmed, and I guess that's her whole arc, because when she goes home she doesn't or back to her father's place at the end, she doesn't ascend into an angel.
No.
She doesn't, nothing super extra normal happens. The reality of this world is that we're all connected, and not that we're all connected, that there are connected um minds and some kind of
Mm-hmm.
supernatural, semi-supernatural reality to our actual reality. But it doesn't go beyond that. She doesn't ascend or anything. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, someone dies on stage from a heart attack and then they're buried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all. And after someone has such an extreme profound experience understanding that she's not alone in this world, even though her counterpart has passed, and after this such a profound experience someone fucks you over, and then you go home and what do? What do you have left? To touch a tree,
Mm-hmm.
to touch a log, but your father eh, comes to meet you. He heads over to meet you,
Yeah.
and I think it's so simple and also so pretty and interesting at the same time, and so cut short. But it's like you're watching a window of time that just opened in the beginning of the movie and closed. And you're seeing these two realities in these two different people, and in this world in Krakow in Poland and in France, and you see them for this window of time and understand their directionlessness and the connection and the direction that we can find through connecting with one another, and this kind of spirituality. And you see this for an hour and a half, and then that window is closed. There's no um grand finale to anything except for like some grand music that plays at the end, because
Right.
that's at the end what we have is music and art, um and these connections that we do have with, like, I believe to a certain extent that there is, and I guess it is a very spiritual perspective, but I do, this movie at least convinced me of some kind of, I wouldn't say supernatural at all, but like some kind of connectedness that we can and we have the ability to find within each other.
I see
And
I also kind of understood from the
Mhm.
from this, where I was like, yeah, like, okay, we like humans are all connected. Like we're able to find deep connections within each other. And that was nice. I do like that message. Um and I think, yeah, you don't have to have a freaking, I don't even want to say doppelganger. You don't have to have like a carbon copy of yourself um to find those connections and to have those connections, you know? Um but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that the way this story is told, and I guess I wouldn't call that a message, but that feeling, like Roger Ebert said, is
Mhm.
is conveyed through this wondrous hour and a half. That's in my opinion unforgettable and endlessly rewatchable. Um, is beautiful, is wonderful, and I just love that ending. I love it, and I guess I don't know. I totally understand how it didn't work for you, especially plot wise. Because that's it. My mom sat down with me in the second half, and I was trying to explain it to her
No,
what's
that's
going
not.
on,
Oh,
and I
that's
was
not gonna
like,
happen.
um, and she was like, "Oh, this is really pretty," and then she started playing 10-10 on her phone,
Mm.
which is like the cube matching game,
Right, right,
whatever. It's
right.
kind of like Tetris, but you get to choose where the and I get it. And I totally get it, and I get why people think this is a mid movie, and I get why people think it's a masterpiece. And
Mhm.
I'm sadly, because I'd love to agree with you on everything,
It's
um,
okay.
do lean towards the more masterpiece side.
It's okay. I don't blame you.
Do
I
you
can
wanna?
see why.
Okay,
And
I'm
thank you for sharing. I know you were like scared that you were talking too much. No, you weren't talking too much. I mean, this we did
okay.
this so you could express how you're feeling about these movies. Like
Well,
um
so you could as well.
well, no, I know, but like don't feel like you're talking too much. It's okay.
No, well, did you write anything to sum up, or should we just go to ratings, or like what do you want? How do you want to handle this?
Let's just do ratings, and like if you have any last words you want to say, like you can say it.
Um, Last words is I don't really have anything to say. I can give you adjectives, which is probably what I'll write for Letterboxd. Bittersweet, magical, natural, supernatural, romantic, aromantic, listless, like lackadaisical, like all these crazy ennui, like it's like a languid film, um
Right, all right.
but and it's just telling you, it's exploring how life is just a web, like I wrote, of connected peoples, and it's warping around us constantly, ever changing yet still as can be. um and that's kind of what I took away.
Okay.
I think
Basically
it's
what
a
I
perfect movie.
you giving it a 5 out of 5?
Yeah.
Wow, guys. Holy
Yeah.
shit. 5 for Yoav. Okay. I'm gonna just say that I didn't hate it. I just wish it was executed in a different way. Even if it was like, even if it was going back and forth, I think I would have liked it more. Um, but yeah, like I kind of said in the beginning, like I just feel like, I mean, after Yoav saying all that, I feel like wrong for saying this, but whatever. I
No,
just,
no, it's such a personal like thing, I guess.
yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
what I learned from talking to you about this, is that it's definitely not concrete. I just love
Right,
the
right, right, right.
the puzzliness, and the fact that a film can sprout this kind of conversation
Mm-hmm.
is like a feat on its own,
True. That is
I
true.
would say. That like if I could ever make a work of art that could like flabbergast people like I was just flabbergasted and
Mm-hmm.
spark conversation like we're having right now, I definitely don't understand people that think this is like pretentious squabble. I wouldn't say that. There are definitely movies that are pretentious squabble, but I do understand why this specifically is a classic and not just some art movie that people make fun of.
Okay, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's what I'll say.
Okay.
Sorry, continue.
No, I was just gonna say that yeah, I I'm giving it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
So will I rewatch this anytime soon? Probably not. Yeah, it's just like I feel like I'm so particular with, I mean, like I watch so many different types of movies, but to me, like, especially when it comes to messages like this, like I'm so particular with execution and how I want my story to be
Mhm.
told. So this one just didn't hit for me, unfortunately.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. Maybe the next movie will, which is your pick that I'm super
And it
excited
is
for.
so different from this movie by every
Okay,
single
good.
means.
Good, good. Should we get to it?
Let's get to I'm so excited. Guys, I'm so excited for this movie. You don't even understand. Okay, let's get to it.
See, I'm nervy.
So,
See what's gonna be.
I like 2 weeks ago, was I mean, obviously I've known what this movie is for years and years and years. But
Mhm.
recently I stumbled upon um something on Twitter mentioning this movie and I was like, that's it. This is my next movie pick. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. This is a long ass movie. This movie is 3 hours and 30 minutes long.
Damn.
So I am doing this to myself and to Yoav,
Buckle up,
considering that
fucklehead.
we both have exactly.
Yeah.
Considering that we both have very busy schedules. But
Well, I'm leading a double life, so.
period. This movie is directed by a man who is so probably one of the most famous directors of all time. Um,
Martin Scorsese?
no, it's not.
Oh.
Um,
Quentin Tarantino?
no.
I don't know. I was thinking of Once Upon a Time in
No,
Hollywood.
no, no, no. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. This is
Okay.
the 1975 movie directed by Stanley Kubrick, Barry Lyndon.
I was just gonna sit down to watch this.
And
I was
yeah,
just gonna sit down last week to
are you
watch this.
serious?
Damn, damn.
Well, Yoav and I have not watched this movie. We both are
Oh
like,
my lordy, 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 lordy,
guys,
lord.
you don't understand. I have been itching and pulsating to watch this movie. Like, there was a few times where I was genuinely going to sit down and watch it. I'm like, no, I'm saving this for the podcast. I like, yeah,
Let's go. Let's go.
this is like,
We have never done Kubrick.
never done Kubrick. I also want to say that, like, is this our first, like, film bro-y movie?
Probably.
I want to say this is our first.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, is this really film bro-y? Because I feel like this is like if we're talking Kubrick, then we'd say
Well,
like 2001 or like Clockwork Orange or that kind of stuff. I feel like this is like the film bros with a more refined taste kind
well,
of
yeah, yeah.
vibe to it.
No, no, I agree with you on that. I'm just saying, like, out
Uh-huh.
of like all the other movies we've done, like this one teeters more on that line, but it's still
Mhm.
like above and higher than like, like Fight Club and all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
movies. I am so excited for this.
I'm pumped. I'm beyond pumped. My sister is gonna be so mad that I watched this without her, but it's
Oh, it's
okay.
okay.
It's okay. She'll forgive me.
Yeah,
I'll
three
probably
and a
love it,
half
so I'll watch it again.
hours. It's a beast of a movie. I'm so
Yeah.
ready to tackle it.
Historical film as well.
Yeah, historical.
This is also would be my first Kubrick in color because I've only seen Paths of
What?
Glory and Doctor Strangelove. And
This
that's
is
it,
gonna
guys. Like I
this
know
is
this is
gonna
so
be
uncharacteristic for me, but that's all.
this will be my fourth Kubrick. I've seen Shining, Clockwork Orange, Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And now Barry Lyndon.
and now Barry Lyndon. Let's
Wowzers.
go.
What will we want? Big 360-degree turns. Sorry that this episode was in shambles. This
And
is
it's
not an
and
easy movie to talk about it.
yeah.
To talk
Sorry
about.
that it's so long too. You can
We
just
kind of ate this up though.
yeah, we did.
Generally, we kind of ate this up.
I agree.
Like for like I feel like any people trying to talk about this or if like it left Roger Ebert leaving a review like he did, um, then that's impressive that we were even able to talk about this
True.
crazy mind fuck. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the length, sorry for the ramblingness, but I hope you got something out of it.
Yeah, I hope you guys did. And if you didn't watch it, um, it's okay. Owen watched it, so that's good. Um,
Yeah. If you didn't watch it, I'll split you in two
oh,
with the chainsaw.
oh, do you guys want that to happen to you? No, that's why you gotta watch Barry
Exactly.
Lyndon for next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll
So,
see you next week,
we'll
guys.
see you next week. Stay tuned, watch it. Thanks again for getting our other video so much love and so much attention.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
Great. Thank you
two
guys.
Yoavs.
Thank you guys. Uh,
And we'll see you next week.
Sayonara.
Peace.